What's up, guys? Brian Phobos here. We're going live on the Steam blockchain and on YouTube at the same time, once again. And today we're going to talk about the coin that I think could pass Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people have been talking about that for a long time. We had Ethereum kind of making an attempt at that, and then we had Ripple that kind of made an attempt at it that they were called the Rippening. So, which one do I think could pass it? Now, I don't think it's just going to be a coin. I think it's going to be a platform. And again, these are my opinions, and it's not financial advice, but I think that even if you don't 100% agree with me, you could learn something about this particular project that I'm very bullish on. So, since I said it was a platform, it's either going to be Ethereum, Ripple, EOS, Stellar, Cardano, Neo, Tron, NIM, Ethereum Classic, VeChain, Icon, Lisk, Steam. So that actually opens it up to a lot of potential projects that it could be that I'm potentially saying could be the one. Now, which one is it? EOS. And here's why I think that it'll be EOS. There's a lot of different reasons, but first of all, and I want to say this mainly for investors who have maybe heard some of the FUD. My live stream's slipping for DLive. I have to readjust. I'm on two different phones here. That's kind of messed up. The phone has too much weight. I have this all propped up. But anyway, so one of the main things I want to dispel is some of the FUD. So there's obviously the disclosure on the EOS website that Block One put out, and essentially it's that the Ethereum tokens aren't going to be worth anything. That's not that they have no. They basically have released themselves of all liability of launching the EOS platform, any of that. So they're developing the code, and that somebody else would essentially launch it. And some people get like all tripped out about that. But you have to understand that, for one, they took in a lot of liability just doing an ICO in general because there's so many unknown factors, and that's one of the reasons why the IP addresses for the United States and for China were blocked. And so they're just trying to protect themselves, and they want to release themselves of all liability and say, this is not, as a company, we don't operate this, we don't run this. This is a decentralized thing. We've created this code, anybody can run it. And that actually kind of would totally release them from any kind of situation where somebody launches something on the platform, maybe uploads something that would be illegal, or tries to run, let's just pretend something like Silk Road, some kind of online drug bazaar or something like that, that ran on top of EOS. Maybe that could like release them of liability and be like, we don't operate it, we don't control this, we can't delete these decentralized applications, we don't have any kind of control over it. So anyway, I just want to say that obviously the disclosure is going to be like extra heavy and all that. And then people are saying that, well, the people who bought these EOS tokens, that they're not even going to be the ones that are going to end up with the EOS mainnet tokens. And I don't know why people are saying that, because to me that's just like absurd. Like, what are they going to do? Like, somebody's going to launch it and say, well, we're going to launch an EOS platform. It's going to be called something else. And everybody who's a Bitcoin holder is going to have this certain amount of EOS or something like that. I don't think that that's really going to happen. Now, somebody might try that. I felt like that something needed to be done around the time when Bitcoin Cash came out. So it was more of a reaction to kind of all the ridiculous stuff that was happening, all the scaling issues. And so I understand why Bitcoin Cash happened, but a lot of the other stuff, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamonds, then there was the fake SegWit 2x, all that kind of stuff was nonsensical. It's just kind of a money grab. It was just a way that they could, that the developers of it could try to get some extra money and all that kind of stuff. So, could there be an EOS platform that launches that's sort of like a money grab, yeah, sure, there could be some other alternative thing, but it's not going to be the main EOS that everybody kind of groups around. Even with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, when that hard fork happened, and Vitalik and a lot of the other developers then still went the route of the forked off Ethereum. And then that's the one we see on Coinbase. That's the one we see with the most support. But there was a period of time, I remember there was like a week or two, where everybody was like, well, what's going to be the real Ethereum? Because really, Ethereum Classic is the original chain. But then, the support all went to like the Ethereum we see that's on Coinbase. Um, so the same thing's going to happen with EOS. If there are multiple platforms that are launched, there's going to be one main one that everybody's going to group around that'll end up likely on Coinbase eventually. Can't say, who knows if it would come up right away or if it would be anything, that would, that would happen immediately. But I would expect, you got to look, even EOS as an Ethereum ERC20 token, it has 125 trading pairs even right now, and right now it's fifth on CoinMarketCap. So you have to understand there's so many eyes on it even now as a product that's not going to have a mainnet for I can't there's the mainnet's not going to come out till June 2nd, but even prior to that, obviously people are FOMOing into this, and I've been waiting a long time because I've been buying EOS probably since like a month after the original crowd sale started last like July or whatever like that. I waited a little bit because it popped out and it was like 2 or 3 months, but it just was it was too expensive at first, and then it came down, it went clear down to 50 cents, and I was buying at 50 cents, but I wish I would have committed more to it. So anyway, so regarding that though, it is fifth on CoinMarketCap, and I just want to go kind of through some history and stuff like that. So Dan Larimer, he created BitShares, Steem, and then now EOS. And you have to understand, I know some people are kind of acting like, well, he left BitShares, he left Steem. Dan's more kind of seems like a shipbuilder. So he builds the ship, and then he's not the ultimate captain who's going to like set sail with it. So if you look at it like that, then, ultimately he's, he's not, he doesn't necessarily like stick around and, maintain the entire project the whole time and act as CEO or anything like that. He's a great developer and everything like that. And even the people who have maybe don't like certain things he does or certain ideas, they still concede that Dan Larimer is, in a way, I would say like kind of a crypto genius and everything. For some reason, the live stream on YouTube, it's kind of frozen up, so I'm not really sure if it's getting a live feed at this time. We'll see if it pops back up here. Hit the screen. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. Let me see. The timer's still going. So, I don't know. I got one person saying that it's warm and golden. So, I guess that means it's piss. So, I don't know. It might be frozen up. It might not be. I'm just going to keep talking because I'm still on the Steem blockchain on DLive. It's on DLive on the Steem blockchain, so I'm just going to keep going. So anyway, I want to get back to it, and first BitShares. And if you guys don't know what BitShares is, it's a decentralized exchange. So if you go to bitshares.org, and you can look at all the transactions that are happening on there and all that kind of stuff, and it's a working system. how many crypto projects are working system at this point. You have to really ask for how many are working systems that you can actually be on Steam. Obviously, if you've been on Steemit, if you've been on busy.org, DTube, DLive.io, you see Steepshot is like an Instagram clone for the Steam blockchain. You know that the system works. And if you go to blocktivity.info, you see that Steam has the record for the most transactions in a 24-hour period with over 2 million transactions. BitShares is number 2 with 1.4 million transactions in a 24-hour period of time. Ethereum had 1.3 million at its peak. But even right now, the Ethereum blockchain is pegged. There's 20,000 unconfirmed transactions. And, so we're just, there's still scaling issues with Ethereum, and that's part of the reason why I think that Ethereum could eventually pass Bitcoin, but they've got a lot of hurdles as far as scalability, and even if Casper comes out in a couple months, that's not going to be the final solution, 100%, that'll take this to a point where decentralized applications that are real-world applications can run on top of Ethereum. So right now you see Steemit, and it is a real-world application, being a social media network and kind of a self-governed. Actually, it's kind of anarchy out there, to tell you the truth. But but you see what's going on. Like, you see a working system, you see people developing on top of it, and that. Now, why don't I? Okay, a plausible question is, why isn't BitShares and why isn't Steem higher? Like, why aren't those worth more? Steem is in the 30th position, BitShares in the 35th position. I think with BitShares, one of the issues that created an issue with it is it had to go through the end of 2014, 2015, and 2016. Those were very, very down years for crypto, especially 2015 was terrible. So it had to make it through that long of a thing. There was obviously just financially trying to get through it, keep development, keep people's interest, that kind of thing. With Steem, the distribution was messed up with Steem. There was like this ninja mining, ninja launch kind of scenario, and a large majority of funds actually end up going to Steem Incorporated, and then like a handful of whales, which created a bad situation because in 2016 when it spiked clear up at $4, then it was like a lot of whales were dumping, trying to earn their money and stuff, and then it went clear down, lost 98% of its value, and went down to 7 cents. So the governance model was different. There were certain things that were learned from that, and that's one of the reasons why EOS has learned from BitShares, Steem, and from Ethereum, the mistakes and the successes of all those projects. Also, it'll be used in a very similar model as far as the way the keys are managed as Steemit, for instance. With you have various keys. You have like an active key, you have a posting key, you have like kind of your master key and stuff like that. So there's various things. There's account recovery, kind of a unique account recovery mechanism in Steem. That type of thing is going to be over in EOS. And then if you see with the witnesses for BitShares, a lot of the witnesses in BitShares are the same witnesses that are over in Steem. And you're going to see the same thing over in EOS. So one of the people that announced that he's going to be working with the EOS DAC is Luke Stokes. He's a trusted witness over on Steemit, and he thought about going solo. He also looked into EOS New York and EOS DAC. EOS DAC I'm talking about EOS. So EOS DAC is basically these companies, like both EOS DAC and EOS New York are groups, kind of like companies that have came together to manage what is known as a witness node over on Steemit, but it looks like it's going to be called a block producer over on EOS. Same concept. So they'll manage kind of a witness node, and then they'll probably manage a seed node. So here's the here's the thing too, it's delegated proof of stake, just like, Steam and BitShares. We see it's a working model. And again, you can go to blocktivity.info and see the amount of transactions it's doing. And, Steam's the top dog. So I'm not trying to talk smack about, let's say, like Ethereum. I think Ethereum has played like a very important role in the crypto economy, and it became a main artery of the crypto space, and it'll continue to be there. I think that Ethereum could eventually pass Bitcoin as well, but I think that EOS have become the top crypto. I don't know if it's going to happen necessarily in 2018, but in the next couple years, as more and more people build on top of EOS, I think that it could very well overtake Bitcoin. It could, pass Ripple, pass Ethereum, and do all that. Because the thing is, with developing on Ethereum, it's too expensive. It's too expensive to pay for the gas. So it's just, in the network's getting bogged down and stuff like that. So they're not going to be able to scale fast enough. And when EOS launches here, June 2nd for the mainnet, it's almost already too late, and people have already been coding. If you look at Ono, is a social media, is an app that social media kind of app, social media platform, kind of like Steemit, but it's built on EOS, and they're actually running on an EOS testnet right now, and then they will be transitioning over to the mainnet once the mainnet launches and all that stuff, and they're going to come out with an international version. So there's already people developing, for it and everything. Another thing too is it comes down to money a lot of times. Like some of these projects, if they didn't have enough money to continue development and that kind of thing, it caused an issue. That's why some of the coins that came out 2013, 2014. Man, this live stream is just, I got cut off on the D live stream. Don't know why. Let me look. I don't know why it did that. Let's see if it comes up here. Well, I mean, there were people viewing it. I don't know why the phone cut out like that. I'll keep going because the timer's still going on YouTube. So I'm going to continue on. But one of the things that Block One is doing is they're doing the EOS VC, so venture capital, and they're committing $1 billion into funding projects that are going to be built on EOS. And so people are going to have a choice of either doing an ICO themselves or forgetting about all that marketing, because it's a lot to market it and everything, to do the marketing for the ICO, and they can skip that and just get the funding and concentrate on coding. So Block One will be able to kind of like profit from essentially lending money to these projects, which in a lot of ways I think that's a good model, because a lot of the ICOs obviously on Ethereum got really scammy, and then it's causing extra weight on Ethereum's price, because think about all these scammy ICOs that weren't really coding or doing anything, and then they're out there selling off their Ethereum. They're kind of like pressing it down and pressing it underwater. Also, another thing, there's only going to be 5% inflation or less on EOS. And even if you look at the crypto boom of 2013, 2014, Bitcoin had around 10% inflation at that point. Now it's down to around 4%. So as it's gone on, it's that the price stability or the fact that it would stay higher up is more plausible, because you don't have as many coins coming into circulation as you did in 2013, 2014. We didn't know at that time. It was like, well, maybe adoption happened so fast that this won't come down this hard. But it did lose 85% of its value from December 2013 to January 2015. So that was very, very brutal. It got down to 176, and then took a long path up, and now it's 4% inflation. And then when we have the 2020 halving, it's going to be even less. It's going to be around like 2%, I believe. I mean, yeah, essentially like 2%. So EOS is going to be 5% or less inflation kind of from the get-go. So I think that that'll bid well, that it's not going to have huge inflation rate or a large circulation of coins coming out in the beginning. And secondly, we've had a year, the distribution has been fair because we've had like a year to participate and to do the whole thing. Um, and even if you look at it like this, when the crowd sale started, it was started at like $3 or $4, and then just literally a couple weeks ago, EOS was down to 450 again. So if somebody had capital to commit to it from fiat, they could have potentially got involved at those lower prices. So people have had a shot to get involved, and then when the mainnet launches, they're going to be able to get involved in that too. But one of the benefits too of holding EOS ultimately is going to be airdrops. Already getting a distribution at EOS DAC, and it's trading for like 18 cents at this point. So very interesting. There's going to be a lot of projects coming out. Like I mentioned, Ono is going to be running on EOS. So super excited about that. Been looking for like more social network type platforms that are running on crypto, and a couple of them are running on the Rinkeby test network for Ethereum, but most of those are database driven, and then the only mechanism that's like crypto related is kind of the payment mechanism, which is okay, that's fine. But the thing I like about these fully decentralized applications, like something like Steemit, or something like that's built on the Steem blockchain, is nobody can like delete my account. If you think about YouTube, a lot of people are upset because they're getting their accounts demonetized and deleted even, and nobody can take away my Steemit account. It's like I own my keys. Steemit Incorporated doesn't even know my keys. So even if Steemit Incorporated is like, we don't like this guy, they can't just delete my account. Same thing with EOS. You're gonna have control of your keys, and nobody can really like per se kick you off the network or delete your account. That's why I like these fully decentralized kind of mechanisms. Advantages and disadvantages, of course, but ultimately, to sum things up, guys, I guess the DLive one, it kind of quit on me. YouTube's still going, but the screen is frozen. But we're at 22:45. EOS. So yeah, the whole thing. I have more people jumping in on the live stream here at the end. So just to sum things up, I think that EOS can become the top crypto. Maybe not in 2018 necessarily, but in the future, ultimately, I think it can pass Bitcoin. We see that the dominance of Bitcoin has fallen, and even if you go back to the 2013, 2014 boom, Bitcoin used to hold 90% dominance. And during January, when the altcoins were popping off really crazy, it got down to like 35%, and then right now we're around 38% or so. Let me just see what it is, 37.9. I think that Bitcoin dominance will continue to kind of decrease as some of these other projects become more efficient. The thing is also, and I haven't even mentioned this yet, EOS is going to have free and instant transactions, just like Steemit, or just like Steem. So that in itself can create something that'll be, something that has utility. I mean, I like other projects like Nano, for instant free transactions. Very, very interesting. That was actually a really good white paper and stuff. And I like stuff like Litecoin. I like Monero. I like Neo. I like a lot of different stuff. But I think in the end, EOS is going to have all the pieces to the equation. They're going to have the money to market it. They're going to have the money to support development. They're going to have free and instant transactions. They're going to learn from what, things about BitShares, Steem, and what Ethereum has done. They're going to learn from all those projects. And I think there's going to be a ton of venture capital money behind this. There's going to be a ton of, other companies on board. Like I think Amazon will ultimately get on board. They bought some domain names with EOS in it, like AmazonEOS.com or something like that. They're going to be on board. There's just going to be you know, ultimately, I just think there's going to be a lot of support from the community. And then the exchanges are going to be almost stupid not to add it with the volume. So once it does come out, the main net's out. I do expect it to be added to Coinbase eventually and Gemini as well. So anyway, guys, that's my synopsis. I think that the project that can ultimately become number one and pass Bitcoin will be EOS. Ethereum could potentially pass Bitcoin as well. It has become a main artery. They've got a lot of scaling issues, but I think EOS can eventually pass Ethereum and pass Bitcoin as well. So anyway, have a good night, guys. Thanks for attending the live stream.